welcome you guys to crunchyourhealth.com. In the past I've done a post where I kind of like where hobbies take you away from doing TV and being a little bit on the lazy side of not doing anything. So I kind of like hobbies where, you know, gardening, where you're out there growing raw vegetables. Maybe you have a vegetable garden. I talked about how maybe you have a patio garden with tomatoes and stuff, even a vegetable garden. We had some land out here. What this is what was left over of my hobby. It's pasta. I have over 300 different types and varieties of pastas, ranging anywhere from $20 to $120. I breed deal with my pastas. I take the, mix pollinate them and take a seed and grow them. Well, what has happened in the past 20 years, when we first started here, when we had our pond put in, we noticed we had one deer, and I thought, well, that was great. We never had any problems with deer problems or anything. Then as time went, we all of a sudden had 5, 10, 15, and it's been kind of a struggle keeping them out of the garden. And so I started off by spraying liquid fence, and that would work for a little bit, and then it would rain, and then you'd forget, and then the deer would be around, and stuff that they weren't touching, like hostas and dayloys, all of a sudden became really a good treat for them. And I got to give it to them. They're probably eating healthier than we are because it's all organic, no sprays or anything, so they're getting fat. And I've tried where I ordered some of these two-dimensional coyote figures where I put them up like signs in the yard, and that didn't help. So then I got this little, it was on the internet, a little green box where if you walked by, a sensor would go off and all of a sudden a light would blink, a very faint light, and also you would have a radio go on, and you'd never get the station. It was always kind of like scratchy. So I decided I'd put this light where if it went off, it would shine and blink on this coyote. Well, one night at 3 o'clock, I woke up, I could just barely hear it. I looked outside, here there's a deer eating my hostas right behind the coyote with the thing going off. So I knew that that type of a thing wasn't going to work. Then I went ahead and bought this coyote and fox shear. It comes in a little dust where you dust it around. So I went ahead and I dusted the whole entire area. Then all of a sudden, as soon as I got done, it was supposed to keep the squirrels and the rabbits and the chipmunks out, which I didn't care. But as soon as I went in the house and looked, these things were all going through my garden anyway, so I knew, well, if it's not going to keep them out, what's the chances of keeping out the deer? So the only thing that I managed to do is draw in all the fox, because they were looking for mates or what have you. They were digging up all my houses, so I had to keep planting them. So back to the deer issue, when we had the one, I thought, wow, this is great. We got a deer. There's no problem with deer. But then all of a sudden there was absolutely no way of getting rid of them, so they just multiplied. We had an accident out here, and I call her Daisy Duke because she had a real cool Jeep, and she tried to miss a deer. It was in the middle of the day, went right across my yard, went through my flower bed, and over our, I think it's like a 2-foot elevated bed that had railroad ties. So she flew across the yard into our driveway, just missed going down our hill into our pond, made it onto going across the street onto the bike path, and so I'm thinking, geez, if one of my kids was out there playing ball, she probably would have hit one of them and killed them. But that's what's going on here, and I brought that to the city's attention. I says, what are you going to do when there's a soccer mother with a van full of kids going to soccer practice? These things spur out into or dart off into the road. She goes to miss them, hits another car, and they're all killed. I says, you guys have an obligation here to protect the people of the community. And I said, the deer herd's getting out of hand. They're fat during the summer. I found 3 deer, like I said, after the spring thaw or winter thaw. They were dead. They were starved. You can see where they were skinny. You can't expect to feed the deer from our plants in our yard, and we should be able to have the right to at least have a yard where we can grow stuff, and everybody's having the same problem. The deer are coming in here. So I got this deer system, and it worked beautiful for many years. It's a couple of different stereo systems, one in the front, one in the back, and I got these eyes that are up in a tree, so anything that comes through here, it would go off, and anything I have in this outlet would turn on. So I have lights blinking, both in the front, both in the back. I have radios set up, one with a station, radio station in the front, and then in the back I went on the internet and got all these sounds. I'll put them on again. Plus I got a nice little remote where I can turn it on and off. But you'd hear all these sounds go off, and these deer, they would just rocket out of here. I mean, I kept them out of here. I even had a solenoid valve to shoot water across the yard into tin pans. Shoot it into tin pans, and that made a racket. I even had an air compressor go on with lines going up and down through all my trees. When this would go off, these air lines would just wiggle through the air, and you'd hear all the air whistling through, and these deer would shoot out of our yard. I had no trouble. This spring I noticed when we were taking a hike, I said, oh boy, we're in trouble. People are starting to hand feed these things, and worse yet, they're petting them. It's just a matter of time before we start riding these things, but they're out of hand. There's no predators to take them out except for our car. So when we get into deer rutting season, when the buck's chasing the doe down, they're like little rockets going in toward our cars, and we're hitting them. And the thing of it is, what's the safety and the health issues on hitting a deer? One, it's not good for the deer. Two, and more importantly, we're getting a lot of damage for the insurance, and what about all the injuries and all the health issues? And how about the people dying because the deer goes through their windshield and beats them up with their hooves and stuff? So that's one issue. What about if we get, sometimes when you get an overabundance of animals where they get disease, what happens if there's a disease that wipes out the whole deer herd? Instead of being satisfied in controlling the deer herd to where it should be, we don't want to do anything about it, so we're just opening it up for a disease to wipe out everything, plus the injuries, possibly death on people and vehicles, and also the starvation during the wintertime. Those are real issues that we need to address by the city, and this is many cities are having this problem. We have to go and take and come up to bat and say, hey, you know what, we can only support this much deer in our city, and the other ones we're going to have controlled shooting or some other type of program. And the thing that makes sense right now for the controlled shooting, we can harvest those deer. There's a lot of people out of work. There's a lot of people struggling to make ends meet. Hey, there's some good food for them. They ate perfectly well here. I mean, this is organic food here, so it's not like you're even getting pesticides and all those stuff that you get from eating deer, from cattle and stuff. All the chemicals that they make those things fat, they're fat from my own stuff here. So there's a lot of things that we need to look at. And how about the Department of Natural Resources? These are game animals. They seem to be so strict on the hunting laws and stuff. But you know what? If they're going to control the deer herd, maybe they ought to take responsibility and say, hey, our deer herd's out of control here in this city. Maybe we need to go in there and control it. Maybe they need to take the deer out and take them to a food packaging plant and for people to eat. I mean, when does it come from where these deer come from, a game animal, to just a nuisance? I mean, they're a nuisance for the whole area. You walk outside, and in fact, our neighbor down there, I kidded her the other day. I says, are these your pets? When are you going to let them inside? They're like dogs. We had a doe and 2 fawns. They sit right there by the house. I says, I mean, when does this, we have to take some action here pretty soon, because this here, when you have a hobby or whenever you have a house where you're into gardening and stuff, this is kind of discouraging, and it's a little bit stressful trying to protect your yard from this. So that's all I have for you right now. Just the health issues of the deer, and not as much as a hobby. You can see my hobby kind of got eaten up here, but we'll see on the next blog that I have for you. So have a good day.